Thank you, Tomas. Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Justine Sullivan, one of your ministers here, back from vacation, which I highly recommend. It was good to travel a bit with Dale and see family and friends, and so wonderful to see all of you this morning. I have the honor, and I'm filling in for Swamini, who's a bit under the weather, so I'll be serving as your worship associate. And my first task is to introduce our guest preacher. Our guest preacher this morning is the Reverend Celia Young, Unitarian Universalist and Buddhist. Ms. Young is an ordained interfaith chaplain and founder of Authentic Living Ministry. For over 30 years, Celia has used her experience in consulting and coaching to work for social justice in Fortune 500 corporations worldwide. Yeah, I just want to let that sink in. Working for social justice in Fortune 500 corporations worldwide. She has coached and developed individual leaders and work teams to follow their North Stars, preserve their integrity, and become who they truly are. These leaders and employees have been courageous enough to speak their truth, stand on their highest principles, and help change their organizational culture to value and nurture the diversity, equity, and inclusion of their people. And we do need to spread our values out beyond our walls. Amen? As she looks toward the last quarter of her life, I'm not sure how she knows that, but Celia has expanded her ministry and spiritual activism from the workplace into the larger society where she helps heal the traumatized and the suffering, mend the broken spirit, and restore the basic goodness of humanity. In addition to her work as a leadership and life coach and spiritual activist, Ms. Young is currently working as a chaplain intern at the UCSD Medical Center Palliative Care Unit. It is good to have her with us this morning. Welcome, Reverend Celia Young.
For 30 years I work and I get fired a lot, so. It's like the corporations wanted me to tell them the truth, but they cannot handle the truth. So anyway, in the words of Reverend Kenneth Warren, may we come into this building hallowed by generations of thoughtful worship. May we come into the company of this congregation enlightened by reason and moved by concern. May we come with open mind and warm hearts. May we here cultivate a confidence that human intelligence and human affection can temper and ultimately overcome cruel circumstance and misguided malice with faith in the power of good over evil. So may we continue to find both of our social responsibility and our individual salvation. Let us worship together.
And now I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our opening hymn, Open the Window. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly in again. Open the window, let the dove fly in. This big old world is a great big mess. Open so high. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Don't see what's to discover on the other side. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Borders round countries, borders round the skies. Open the window, let the dove fly in. The only border close you is the border round your mind. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in. Open the window, let the dove fly in.
And again, I say good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Diego, where we worship each Sunday in the South Bay, in Hillcrest, and online.
Buenos días y bienvenidos a la primera iglesia unitaria universalista de San Diego, donde adoramos cada domingo en South Bay o la Bahía Sur, en Hillcrest y en línea.
My name is Justine Sullivan, and I use the pronouns she and her. A special welcome to those of you here for the first time, or maybe for the first time in a while. We invite you to fill out a welcome card in your order of service.
Soy Andrea y uso el pronombre ella. Una bienvenida muy especial a todos que están con nosotros por primera vez. Les extendemos la invitación de rellenar el formulario en el orden de servicio.
Our community is a vital, diverse, multi-generational congregation without borders, with a mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values to help heal the world.
Somos una congregación compuesta de personas de distintas culturas e identidades de género, identidades racializadas, personas de diversas orientaciones sexuales e identidades de género, personas de varias habilidades mentales y físicas.
We are creators of community and compassion, and though we can fall short, we are committed to practicing an affirming welcome to all.
Con espíritu de reverencia, reconocemos que nos juntamos esta mañana en la tierra de los Kumeyaay, quienes continúan viviendo en todo su territorio. Al emprender este viaje juntos, mantengamos en nuestros corazones y mentes el pueblo Kumeyaay.
In a spirit of reverence, we acknowledge that we gather this morning on the land of the Kumeyaay, who continue to live throughout their territories. May the light of this candle shine for our commitment to the Kumeyaay people and to justice and equity for Indigenous people everywhere.
And now we invite you to rise in body or spirit once again and join us in singing our church hymn, followed by our church aspiration in English and in Spanish to reflect the border region in which we live. From all who dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land, by every tongue. De todos bajo el gran sol surjan esperanza, fe y amor, verdad y belleza cantando, de cada May love be the spirit of this church. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. Que el amor sea la doctrina de esta iglesia, la búsqueda de la verdad su sacramento y el servicio su oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con libertad y ayudarnos mutuamente en comunidad. A eso aspiramos.
Good morning, friends. I'd like to invite any of the children or youth who would like to come up and join me for our time for all ages. Whoa, Spider-Man. Oh, it's just a hat. Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Good morning. Hi. Joe, come sit up here. Either side is okay. So, friends, I'm on my Kindle today. But all of the pictures are also going to be up here so you can see them and read along with me. And our book today is called The Trick to Being Fearless. And I don't know about you, but there's sometimes I'm afraid of stuff. Are you ever afraid of anything? Sometimes, maybe? Yeah, a little bit. And sometimes that feeling of fear can tell us important information about stuff that we should probably stay away from. But sometimes we're afraid, and that feeling is not very helpful. It keeps us from doing what we want to do. And so this is one of those times where somebody's trying to get over their feeling of being afraid. And so this book, as I said, is called The Trick to Being Fearless. Josiah was afraid of everything. But mostly, he was afraid of being alone. He didn't want to be left alone in the kitchen. He didn't want to go to the bathroom alone. He didn't want to be alone at night when he went to bed. What a mess this was causing for his family, who had other things to do than just keep Josiah company. Then, one evening, when Josiah was watching TV with his sister Eliana, who had been assigned the duty of sitting with Josiah, he saw a program that roused his interest. It was about fear and how to stop being afraid. This is just the ticket, he thought. On the program, Dr. Benjamin Lieberman explained that people, adults and kids alike, often swallow fearful thoughts. Thoughts like something being under the bed is going to get you, or there's a monster in the closet, or even being alone is dangerous. Josiah said to himself during the commercial, I must have swallowed some very scary thoughts. Then, when Dr. Lieberman came back on, Josiah's spirits lifted. Dr. Lieberman said that if you've swallowed a wrong thought, one that you don't want, you could certainly fix it by swallowing a good one. Do you think he really means swallowing a thought? Or just, sometimes we say swallowing to mean like believing something that maybe you were maybe tricked into believing, or you believed without any evidence. Yeah, not really swallowing, but I think Josiah might think he means really swallowing. Yeah. Wow, this is great news to Josiah because he didn't want to be a scaredy cat, afraid of everything, even his own shadow. He wanted to be strong and brave and capable of doing things on his own, just like everyone else. Now, the trick was, what were the thoughts he should swallow, and how was he going to swallow them? He thought, I want to be brave when I go into a dark closet. So the next morning during breakfast, Josiah took a piece of toast, held it in his hands, and without anyone noticing, said under his breath to the toast, I am brave when I go into dark closets. Then he gobbled down the toast and went about his business. Later in the day, he was playing with his friend Gabriel when they decided to play a game of Candyland. Of course, the game box was in his closet, a very dark closet. Gabriel knew of Josiah's fear of dark places, offered to accompany Josiah into his room and into the closet to get the board game. No, I'll get it, he said boldly. Then he went upstairs into his room and walked over to the closet. He put his hand on the closet door, turned the handle as he thought about his thought, I am brave when I go into dark closets. He opened the door and stepped in. Refusing to turn on the light, he grabbed the game box and left. I am brave, he said aloud, and so he was. That night, when it came time to go to bed, Josiah's mother brought him a bedtime snack of a glass of milk and a cookie. Would you like me to wait here until you have fallen asleep? She asked. No, said Josiah, munching on the cookie. I'm fine, he said, putting on a courageous face, even though he wasn't feeling very courageous. This will be a challenge, he thought, as his mother left the bedroom. Dangers lurked everywhere. There was his bed. Who knew what was under it? There was his room, full of all kinds of crevices and creepy possibilities. Then, of course, there was the night itself, dark and mysterious. What thought could I swallow that would ease his fears? Oh, yes, I am courageous wherever I am. He said it as he looked into his glass of milk. He could almost see the words slip from his lips and drop into the glass of milk. Then he drank it down. He swallowed the thought. As he sat on the side of his bed, he could feel the courage this thought had given him. He bent down, looked under the bed. No monsters there. He wandered around his room, looking into nooks and crannies. Nothing scary was found. Then he looked out the window into the deep, dark night and noticed how beautiful it was, with a few stars sparkling here and there. Even the moon seemed to approve of Josiah's new approach to night by sending a wink his way. Josiah hopped into the bed, pulled the covers up, but not over his head. He was brave, and now he was courageous. The next day, when everyone scattered for his or her own activities, Josiah's mother asked, I need to go next door for a few minutes. Will you be all right by yourself? Then she added, there's a peach on the counter if you feel hungry. This, he felt, was going to be a real test. Was he going to be all right alone? Would he be able to handle it? Sure, Mother, I'll be fine, he said. Even though he wasn't sure, off she went. Now, he was truly alone. No closets, no bed, no night, just himself. What was he afraid of? Quick, he thought, what thought do I need? Oh, yes, I can handle being alone. I am capable. He grabbed the peach his mother had left for him, looked at it with great intensity, and said, I am capable. With that, he took a big, juicy bite and swallowed it. The thought tasted delicious. Next, he walked around the kitchen, the bathroom, and then the living room all alone without a trace of fear. Wow, he thought, this swallowing good thoughts is great. Had he just swallowed another? In his excitement over his newfound confidence, he wrapped his arms around himself, and with a deep breath, Josiah swallowed the best thought of all. I am proud of myself. And so he was. The end, but not the end of being brave. Oh, pretty cool, huh? Sometimes I use thoughts like that. There's a big word we use for that. It's called affirmations. And sometimes whether we're afraid, or maybe it's not fear, maybe it's some other feeling or thought that we don't want, we can use another thought and sort of talk ourselves into feeling differently. So you might want to try that the next time you're afraid, or maybe feeling something you don't want to feel. But for now, if you'll join me, we're going to stand up and help lead the congregation in our affirmation. We'll say it first in English and then in Spanish. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Somos unitarios, universalistas, personas de mentes abiertas, corazones amorosos, y manos que dan la bienvenida. And now I'd like to invite all the children or youth who would like to join me and their other leaders out on the patio, and we'll head up to our groups.
A few announcements. Lay ministers are available following the service on the patio here on our Hillcrest campus and also at South Bay to offer a listening presence. This morning, our lay minister is that you, Les, today? Les Vivian will be here on the Hillcrest patio if you have something on your heart. And I also just want to remind you that we have this trencher with candles, and if you have joy or sorrow, something that you would like to put out into the world, at any time during the service or following, you can light a candle and place it in the sand. I would also invite you to save the date for this coming weekend. We have a Front Street production concert of Barbershop Harmony with Los Bordershop Quartet featuring our own Marshall Voigt performing on Saturday. And just a reminder that next Sunday will be Marshall's last Sunday with us. So come out on Saturday night and Sunday morning to celebrate Marshall's time with us. Throughout the month of July, our offering is being received in support of Pink Haven Coalition. That's a collective of organizations and individuals who are committed to trans liberation and to growing community defense and alternative systems of care for gender diverse people. They are working together to create networks of safety and direct support for all those who need to relocate, because where they are isn't safe. They need access to health care across state lines or to stay as safe as they can where they are. You can learn more about Pink Haven on their website, www.pinkhaven.org. The work that they are doing is becoming increasingly important as we continue to see the rise of a hostile legislative environment in the United States. There have been more than 550 legislative acts in the last year seeking to eradicate transgender people from public life. Our donations to Pink Haven move directly into the hands of trans-led organizers and are used to support trans and non-binary people in accessing the resources they need. Let us give as generously as we can. You may donate this morning to support this life-saving work in person by credit card using the dip jars over here or by cash or check in the collection box over there. You can also donate online on our church website, firstuusandiego.org. Thank you for your generosity. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
This morning, I would like to share a reading. The title is In the Midst of a World by Reverend Rebecca Parker. In the midst of a world marked by tragedy and beauty, there must be those who bear witness against unnecessary destruction and who, with faith, rise and lead in freedom with grace and power. There must be those who speak honestly and do not avoid seeing what must be seen of sorrow and outrage or tenderness and wonder. There must be those whose grief troubles the water while they voice, sing, and speak refreshed words. There must be those whose exuberance rises with lovely energy that articulates earth joys. There must be those who are restless for respectful and loving companionship among human beings, whose presence invites people to be themselves without fear. There must be those who gather with congregation of remembrance and compassion, draw water from old wells, and walk the simple path of love for neighbor. And there must be community of people who seek to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God, who calls on the strength of soulfuls, heal, transform, and bless life. There must be witness. Why not us?
I went walking down the road with a heavy heart and miles left to go, and I came upon a woman in a field on her knees, singing ancient songs and sowing wildflower seeds. Tell me, what's the point in planting pretty things in these days of darkness and disease? The world is burning, have you not heard? She smiled and said, honey, I've lived long enough to learn that the time for flowers will come again. Maybe in 1 year, maybe in 10. There are days despair will win, but the time for flowers will come again. Well, I have witnessed funerals and wars, worried mothers, empty shelves in empty stores. The storms will rage and the winds will blow. You are gonna find out that you're stronger than you know. And the time for flowers will come again. Maybe in 1 year, maybe in 10. There are days despair will win, but the time for flowers will come again. And when I woke up this morning, something deep had shifted. The sun was coming out, and the clouds had finally lifted. It's time to fix what's broken, all the willing and the able. And when our honest work is done, we'll gather at this table. We'll hold each other's babies and pour each other's wine, and promise to remember that your fate's bound up in mine. The skies are clear now, and the moon is new. Let's raise a glass, my friends, we'll make it through. And we'll say, the time for flowers has come again. I know it seemed this world would end. There were days despair did win, but the time for flowers has come again. The time for flowers will come again.
Beautiful song, warms my heart. Now it's time for us to meditate for a moment. And it's really simple. Just put both your feet on the ground, sit up, lower your eyes, softly breathing out and breathing in. Just watch your breath. Notice your thoughts, but let them go. Savor this short and quiet moment for a little while. Open your eyes, bring yourself back into the room. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to speak. On one hand, my talk might be a bit provocative. On the other hand, I might be preaching to the choir. I was told this is a very progressive congregation. But I hope you keep your mind open for the next 15 minutes. In this current very, very troubling world right now, besides everyday human suffering, we're also threatened existentially by pandemic, war, violence, hunger, poverty, climate change, power corruption, attack on democracy, and the deterioration of institutions. In the last few weeks, this threat has become even more vivid for me. And it feels like the end of the world or an apocalyptic moment is here. When I first heard this term, apocalypse, it brought up a lot of fear and dread in me. If the end of the world is here, I worry I might have to do something drastic to survive. I feel desperate to save myself. I started to think small and become self-centered. I worry about scarcity. At times, when I felt depressed, some of you probably felt the same way. When species want to survive, they will do their best to conserve their resources and their energy. This is natural, but it does not matter how much we try. We cannot survive and thrive alone. In Suzanne Simard's book, Finding Mother Tree, she wrote about the shared wisdom of forests where trees share information and nutrients to survive. We humans often forget that like all species on this planet, we need to rely on each other to survive. When we get overwhelmed by grief, despair, and anger and hatred beyond fear, we are alienated from our higher humanity. But life is not a zero-sum game. If we truly follow our UU7's principle, which says respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, we ought to remind ourselves that we are not alone out here. To save ourselves as a group, not just individuals, we need to continue to open our hearts and pores and to share our deepest resources, including love and compassion. When things fall apart, the world seems to come to an end. This is when real change can happen. This is when we need to structural and drastic change, like the cocoon turning into a butterfly, or the phoenix rising from the ashes after the fire. The ending can also present an amazing chance for a bright beginning if we practice true interdependence. Let me explain. The universe follows its self-correcting principle. When the force goes to one extreme, a counterforce will naturally go to another extreme. And eventually, the universe will find its equilibrium by swinging back and forth. Remember the infinity sign. This is how the universe works. We Chinese have an old saying that it takes 50 years for things to flow to the west side of the river. It takes another 50 years to flow to the east side of the river. So it may take at least 100 years for the universe to find its equilibrium. That's very hard, isn't it, to hear? Whatever is broken will heal itself in the end. I came upon a poem, not sure of its author. It is called, "What Doesn't Kill You Make You Softer." See, there's a twist. Part of it goes, when the vase breaks in Japan, it is glued back together with powdered gold, as if to say, trauma rips you apart and then reassemble you more beautifully, as if something good must always come out of suffering. Maybe the world needs to go through some of these apocalyptic times to reach a point of renewal. This reminds me of a story of a man who visited his farmer friend. The farmer's dog was moaning next to him. So he asked the farmer, "What's wrong with your dog?" The farmer said, "He's sitting on a nail." The man asked, "Why doesn't the dog just get off the nail?" The farmer answered, "Because the pain is not high enough." Looking at your life, have you sat on the nail for a while? Is your pain severe enough to propel you to change? Are we, as a society, where is our love and compassion toward ourselves and others? Remember the yin and yang principle. Light will not be so brilliant if it does not have darkness for its background. We need not be afraid of traveling in the darkness, like that little kid in the story, huh? When it is the way to see the glory and brightness in ourselves and the world. I remember one of my darkest days long ago. I went to see my therapist. I asked her, "How do I know I have hit bottom?" She said, "When you do, you will know it because there's nowhere else to go but up." At that time, I didn't realize how Zen-like this advice was. Often something happened that wake us up and change our lives, whether it's life-threatening illness, accident, serious loss. This is when we know we have hit bottom. One of my life-changing moments happened when I lost my father and my job and walked away from an abusive marriage, all within the same year. I had to sit down and take a serious look at myself and my life. I had no choice but to listen to my inner voice and figure a way out and up. I am grateful that a part of me didn't let me just fall through the bottom and die away. Now please lower your eyes, look at your heart, recall a disruptive and transformative moment in your life. How did you come out to the other side? What personal growth did you gain? Are you ready and willing to meet that moment again? Maybe we, the world, need to reach a point of extreme pain before we act to self-correct. Recent events, including the women's protests in Iran, Afghanistan, Turkey, anti-war protests, the noon against Putin's election in Russia, were some of the counter forces against the generation of totalitarian regimes' brutality. And then the anti-immigrant rhetoric, the overturn of women's productive rights, book banning, cancellation of DEI programs, anti-LGBTQ+ laws in the United States, as some of the forces from the conservative against the increasingly diverse progressive development of our country should stir up some conscious awakening counterforces. This is a natural rhythm of the universe. Hopefully, we can triumph through the chaos and hardship as part of a vacillating process that the world is going through to find its new equilibrium. When things fall apart, this is when we need to stay awake for all the learning opportunities to show up. When things get rough, this is also the time for us to discover and reclaim who we are and our truth at the highest level of our humanity. Change is an inside-out process. The principle of change has two forces. One is the desire to change. The other one is resistance to change. I want to talk about resistance to change. One of the resistance is fear. Recently, I got a chance to work as a palliative care chaplain in San Diego for the summer. Although I knew I should stay in San Diego instead of driving 3 hours every day from Orange County for 3 months. But I came face to face to my resistance to change. When I was 21, I flew thousands of miles, leaving my childhood home in Taiwan to come to the US for the first time without fear. Now, I had trouble moving 60 miles across town for just only 3 months. Well, truth is, as I get older, I'm 74, by the way, I like to sleep in my own bed. Even temporary moving freaked me out. But then that's what transformation requires us to do, something radical. Plus, nothing stayed the same forever. Change is constant. It could be small as changing where I sleep for 3 months, or as big as going through life-threatening trauma. Any disruption can be a threat or an opportunity to grow. According to the Gallup poll, in 2000, 70% of Americans claim that they belong to a religious organization. But in 2020, that number went down to 47%. This is more than 20% decline within 20 years, poses some existential threat to traditional religions. The reasons for this decline are many. We can all speculate. To change and grow like any organism, religious institutions need to do the same inside-out work. They need to find out who they truly are, if what they do serve the community. The good news is while other churches' attendance and membership are down, or some extremists have weaponized the religion, Unitarian Universalists have a perfect chance to become the sanctuary for those who searching but allergic to the traditional hierarchical and extremist system. Facing the declining trust in institutions and threat to our fundamental freedom in this current social climate, we UUs have an opportunity to become the island of sanity, I call them. We can offer ourselves up as an alternative because we are committed to practicing our 8 principles. Becoming a beacon on the hill does not mean we have to go on the street and protest. We can continue to start from where we are. But first, we need to look at our resistance to change. For example, sometimes our strength can be also becoming our resistance. The strength of us UUs lies in our intellect. We are firmly grounded in our 4th principle, which says we follow a free and responsible path to search for truth and meaning. We UUs typically live in our heads, and we're damn proud of it. We're not only intellectual, we're also fiercely independent people who have a lot of opinions. We often have a hard time trusting others because we think we have all the right answers. The challenge is for us to come together and make change happen when there is no one right answer. When we are willing to stay curious and come back to the unknown place that Buddhists call ground zero. This is also the time to stop our analysis paralysis and become more creative, think outside the box to lead the change beyond what we are already doing. Now, let us look further at fear as a resistance to change as we practice our 2nd principle, which says justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Some of us may fear that all our hard work has not made any difference lately. And we may be afraid or feel uncertain about our future of our country and the world. We may also feel despair and lose hope. Fear and despair can have us do all kinds of things that alienate us further from our true self and others. I was reminded of our UU's 200 years of heritage as champion for freedom and social justice. What is happening to our country and the world seems like we're going backwards. We cannot give up, though, just because we're in too much despair or too fatigued to fight the same fight over and over. Remember, change is never a straight line. It takes years for the universe to find its equilibrium. Just because we may not see the results immediately, we must trust that true change will come. The Chinese word for risk is danger and opportunity. At this dangerous time, our opportunity to change and grow is now. In Kevin Costner's movie, Fields of Dream, I think you're old enough to remember that, okay? The voice said, you build it, they'll come. To me, this is not some woo-woo stuff dreamed up by Hollywood. If we sit quietly enough and listen to ourselves, we will hear the truth from the depth of ourselves. Our intuition and our insight will show us what kind of field we need to build. It must be connected to the deep hunger and the need of our fellow human and the universe. It is our mission at this moment of crisis in our country, in our world, to continue to answer the call, to lead the change. If we don't keep doing it, who will? Before I close, I have a few questions for the people in this congregation. In this chaotic and dangerous time, do you see the opportunities beyond apocalypse? How do you create change, and what is your resistance to change? How ready are you as an organization to overcome your resistance, answer the call, step up your leadership in change? Although this world seems scary right now, if we open the window, let some fresh air in, we might see the endless sky. Here is a quote from an early century monk. The barn has burned down. Now I can see the moon. To lead the change, we must continue to live our true self, and we need to lead the change by being in tune with what is hurting and hungry for and trying to meet its need. This requires us to change ourselves softly, flow like a river, and be willing to keep our hearts and mind open. Blessed be.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, I Know I Can. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. When some
For my closing, here's words from Reverend Emily Richards entitled, May You Be Changed. May you leave this time together changed. May the promise you made to yourself about who you want to be feel closer to the reality of who you are right now. May you share that feelings of transformation wherever you go. May it spread into every word, deed, thought, and interaction until we are all changed and transformed and transforming together, becoming our better self. Now go in peace.